All systems go. Clear for liftoff.
What is going on, SHIPIT Nation YouTube station? We're back Tuesday. Nice 8-game slate here in the NHL streets. Hit that like button, hit the subscribe button. It helps us out a ton. If you're not a member yet, I don't know what you're doing, but jump in now. Use that promo code SHIP50. Gets you $50 off your first month of all access pass with Shiptimizer. Also gets you added into a drawing out there in the Discord for some free cheese out there for everyone. But let's jump in. Let's talk this slate. Pretty fun one overall in general. We have kind of one spot where I think majority of the ownership is going to condense around that we'll talk about. One team is playing really good right now, faces one of the worst teams in the league. So definitely ownership, especially at their salaries, is going to kind of condense there around the Predators, kind of in the middle slate of games that we're going to talk about there. But I got the stone up here on the screen. First game on the docket, we have Tampa and Montreal here. This game at home earlier this year, Montreal came into Tampa and kind of laid a whooping on the Lightning and beat them 5-2 here. I'm not confident that that's going to kind of stay the same. This was back December 29th, about a month ago. I think this is a pretty solid spot here for Tampa. They are expensive, is the only issue here, but I don't mind them. I think Sorelli, Hagel, and Paul is a pretty good stack here in general. Just cheaper than the Braden Point, Kucherov, Gunsel line. It just, for me, it takes a lot to play 9,800, 8,300, and 7,800 to full line stack a team here against Montreal, who can dictate some matchups at home here. So for me, I like line 2 here for Tampa. I think it's a pretty solid spot for them. Looking at the numbers here, Montreal 28th in the league in expected goals against on home ice. They allow the 21st most shots on net, sitting about 28 on average per game. They do have a good penalty kill, but they give up the second most high danger chances in the entire NHL here. So it is a pretty good metrics and matchups wise for Tampa here. And Tampa should be looking to get revenge as well off of the earlier season beating where they kind of got smashed. The only issue was Tampa is on a back-to-back. They did play in Toronto last night. Now play Montreal. They lost a tough one last night, 5-3. We're kind of in that game. But Vaz is going to be in that here tonight. So I do like Vaz quite a bit at 8K here. Jonas Johansson was in that game last night, gave Vaz a break, and did actually keep him in the game for the most part against a very good Toronto team on home ice. So you could see this go one of two ways. Tampa comes out here flat on the back-to-back, or they come out here with some spite. Earlier season, they got smashed by this Montreal team. They got beat up last night. So for me, I'm playing it more like I think Tampa kind of comes in, tries to slow the game down and take over. So I like Tampa to win the game, but at these price points, it's tough to play them. On Montreal side, Suzuki, Caulfield, and Slafkovsky. Going right back to the well on those. You can always play those three. And then Lane Hudson, you got a really nice cheap pairing there. And maybe Tampa does come in flat right on the back-to-back with the road trip here. But the only issue I have with that is Vasilevsky is going to be in net, and he's one of the best goalies in the league. So for me, if any interest, it'd be on the Tampa side. Montreal is fine in tournaments, but at this kind of ownership, it's a little absurd to me. So Montreal, pretty much a fade here for me. Tampa line 2 would be where I would look the most. Victor Hedman, really, really good option as well as a spend-up demon on this slate. Next game on the slate here, 5.5 total in this one, but I do think this is a decent game. I have some interest in the Rangers here. Trocheck, Panarin, Lafreniere. That's where I'm kind of cutting it off. Trocheck's been playing incredible this season. Panarin, 8,200, fair price point, and Alexis Lafreniere is playing good. 5,100 is a good option as well there. So I like line one here for the Rangers quite a bit. Adam Fox is a solid option as well if you're looking there. Keandre Miller at 3.2K is fine. On the Senator side, Levi Merlanen, if you're not playing any Rangers, I think is fine in tournaments. 5.5 total, 7,300. Price makes sense. Not a massive dog here by any means. It is the Rangers. He's going to see some volume. Rangers are kind of middle of the road in terms of shots on net. They're sitting 8th right now in the league at home on shots on net. So Levi Merlanen here should see a decent amount of shots and have some upside. I prefer the Rangers offense personally, but in teams where you're not getting the Rangers or you need to save at goalie, I think Levy here is definitely a good option in tournaments. On the Senator side, no skaters really for me. Claude Giroux is a fair price point at 3,800. Artem Zub at 3.2K is a good option as well in terms of defense. Shane Pinto, I think, is fine, but definitely more interest on the Ranger side. Mika Zibanejad at 4.8K, I think, is a fair price as well. It's been Trocheck's year, but Mika is still a very good hockey player in general. And 4.8K is a little ridiculous for his talent and his upside. He's still in that top power play, so don't mind some of him for sure. Next game on the slate here, we had the Red Wings and the Flyers. 6 total in this one. Pretty good spot for line one for the Flyers. I expected a decent amount of ownership to go their way here. Cam Talbot's just not very good in general. Frost has been really good. I love him. Konechny and Tippett. Flyers line one is definitely a really good spot. Detroit's been horrible the last 10 games in actual goals against. However, their expected goals against is top 6 in the league, sitting at 2.67. It's almost a full goal less than what we're currently seeing on actual goals. So they're due for some regression here in a good way. Positive regression could stifle the Flyers a little bit here, but the Flyers are playing really good. They're at home. I still have interest in line one here with Konechny, Tippett, and Frost at those price points. Jamie Drysdale at 3K is a really good option. Ristolainen's a great option. Cam York's a great option. There's really 3 really good value options here from the Flyers side of things in terms of defense. I like all 3 of those guys. Flyers line one, like I said, is a good play. On the Red Wings side, full fade for me. Not getting to anyone on the Red Wings side here. Patty Kane and DeBrincat would be the 2 guys I would look at if I was getting there, but I'd just rather play the Flyer side or pass in this game here for me. Takes us to the chalk of the slate, and I mean, this could be some of the highest ownership we've seen all season. It's Tuesday. Forsberg smashes on Tuesday. Forsberg also has been smashing as of late. He's now 7,300 and gets to face Georgiev and the Sharks here. It's hard to say anything bad about the Preds here outside of ownership. I mean, Stamkos, O'Reilly, Forsberg, Marchessault, Gustav Nyquist, Roman Josi. I mean, mega chalk. Some of the biggest chalk we've seen and probably will see all year long. Hard to argue against. The only one I don't like is Saros for the most part. I mean, looking to get different. I mean, it's just there's no way around it, to be honest, outside of ownership that I can say. The Preds are playing really good right now. It's Tuesday. Forsberg smashes on Tuesdays. He's also playing great hockey right now, coming off a 45-point game. I think he's averaging like 26 points or something over the last 5. It's a great matchup, great spot. All things point to the Preds smashing here. If you want to get different and contrarian, going to the other side with Celebrini, William Eklund, I think makes a lot of sense. I don't mind those 2 guys. Zetterlund, Will Smith are fine, but it'd be Eklund and Celebrini to get off of the chalk on the Pred side. Just flip the script. So I don't mind Celebrini, Eklund, and then a Jake Wallman to kind of flip the game on its head. But Preds, top spot on the slate by far, no questions about it. Hence, you see this projected ownership. I think this is true as well. I do think 50 to 60% of the teams in your tournaments at least are going to be being on the Pred stacks there. Next game on the slate here, Stars and Carolina. Carolina on a back-to-back here, now heads into Dallas to face the Stars. I like this spot a decent amount here for the Stars. Only issue is Swiss Cheese Anderson went last night for Carolina, so it is Kochetkov here. He is the better goalie in general, so does limit my interest a little bit. 5.5 total in this one. I do think this is a pretty solid spot, though, for offense that the Stars could produce. It's just going to be very limited goals, but I still have interest in Duchene and Johnston with Robertson. I still like those three guys with Miro Heiskanen in terms of D-men. Jamie Benn's also fine as a power play specialist there. But I have some interest in Wyatt Johnston, Duchene, Jason Robertson, those main three for sure. On the Hurricane side, probably not getting to any of the Carolina side on a back-to-back here facing Dallas. Dallas is just a pretty good hockey team in general. They allow the second least shots on net as well. So opportunities, you just got to be super efficient going up against Dallas, especially at home when they can dictate the matchups there. Jake Ottinger is a fine option as well in tournaments at 7,900. Only issue is I can't get any goalies right as of late, and I definitely can't get Otter right. So tread lightly there. Next game on the slate here, Oilers and the Caps. Edmonton at home. This is a decent spot for Edmonton at home here. Caps are typically a pretty tough team to go up against, but Leon Draisaitl has absolutely destroyed the Caps in his career. So I like Leon. I like McDavid, Hyman, Nugent Hopkins, Victor Arvidsson, those six. Hyman and Leon have destroyed, like I said, destroyed the Caps in their career. So good price, or not good prices, but solid plays there. 9K for Leon is kind of getting up there now. He's right there in the same caliber and tier is McDavid in terms of pricing. So if you want to get away cheap, going like a Hyman, Nugent Hopkins, I don't hate that. 6,600, 4,800, I think that's fine. Bouchard, Darnell Nurse are good options as well in terms of defense. On the Cap side, you can always play a PLD with Protas and Tom Wilson. The crew is back together there. Don't hate that. Strome, Ovechkin, Connor McMichael, you can play them too. Skinner's nothing crazy. Edmonton's nothing crazy in terms of defense in general, but I think there's better stacks than going to the Cap side. It'd be Edmonton or pass for me. I do actually really like Leon and Hyman quite a bit. Just looking at their history, they have destroyed Washington in their careers. 2 games left to talk about, both good ones here. Vancouver at home, I think is a pretty solid spot, and not many people are going to go to them from what I'm seeing in terms of projected ownership here. The Sabres are just horrendous. Sorry, Kay Gould, if you're out there listening, gave you a little shout out in the slate plan as well, but man, your Sabres are just absolutely horrible, especially on the road. I think this is a pretty solid spot here for Vancouver. I like Pettersson. I like Miller. I like both of those guys. Brock Besser, Connor Garland, Jake DeBrusk. Those 5 skaters I like a lot. And then Quinn Hughes is a pivot off of Yossi. More expensive, I think, is a solid pivot there as well. Philip Hronek for cheap in terms of a punt demon is a good option as well here. But Sabres are brutal. UPL averaging over 3 goals on average per game. Buffalo are just pretty brutal in general defensively. Especially on the road for sure. So pretty good late night hammer spot for Vancouver, and we'll get you off of that Nashville chalk for sure. So I like it quite a bit. Takes us to the last game of the slate here, Florida and the Ducks. I think Gibby's going to be in net here tonight for the Ducks. I'm not quite sure, but either way, if it is Gibby or Dosto, both are solid options in tournaments if you want to just spend down at goalie. But I do like this spot here for the Panthers. I'll continue to attack the Ducks. I don't care. I mean, you're really relying heavily on what Dosto or Gibby do in net to kind of see if they're going to stop all the shots they see or not, because the Ducks are just not very good defensively in general. I think this is a good spot for the returning Stanley Cup champs. Really, really good power play matchup here. So it'd be the top power play guys for me from Florida: Barkov, Chucky, Reinhart, Verhaeghe, and Nate Schmidt. I love all 5 of those guys. Stack them up any which way. No ownership is really going to go to them, obviously, because all the ownership's going to Nashville. If you want to get contrarian with upside, going Vancouver and Florida stack, just fading Nashville and just hoping that Nashville scoring is spread, or it's just like a 3-0 type game or 3-1 type game, something like that, and getting your ownership with the Canucks and the Panthers in two really good spots as well at no ownership compared to Nashville. I think that's an interesting way to go in tournaments there. So definitely like the Panthers here, late night hammer. Like I said, I'm looking at the top 5 power play guys for me. On the Ducks side, you could definitely play some. I just think there's much better spots on an 8-game slate here than to play any stacks against the returning Stanley Cup champs and Bob here. So overall, excuse me. Overall, I do like the 2 late games here, Vancouver and Florida. It's a pretty tough slate in general, just because, like I said, kind of all the ownership is going to Nashville, and it's tough for me to argue outside of ownership. So I think I'll kind of be leaning into the Florida and Vancouver stuff a little bit here to get off of that ownership. But good luck tonight in those contests. Hope to see your SHIPIT Nation logos at the top. For myself, Nate, let's ship it.